Music and excesses often seem to go hand in hand in the world of rock and pop. But sometimes, even the greatest music legends cross the line of what is acceptable, and this happens right on stage. In this list, we look at 15 musicians who lost control so badly that their performances turned into complete chaos. From embarrassing breakdowns to tragic moments, some of these events became legendary anecdotes, while others remain bitter lessons. Number 1. Gene Ween of the experimental rock band Ween, who gave a performance that turned into an involuntary comedy act. Ween took the stage in a state far from concert-ready, losing his balance multiple times and even forgetting how to play a tambourine. In a bizarre twist, he simply lay down on the stage and fell asleep in front of his baffled fans. The band had to cancel the concert, and the incident became a myth within the indie rock scene. Despite this scandal, Ween maintained a loyal following, but this performance remains a prime example of excess gone wrong. Number 2. DeVille Poison. DeVille gave a performance that can only be described as a disaster during the early 90s MTV Video Music Awards. He appeared completely out of control on stage, played the wrong songs, improvised chaotic solos, and repeatedly mixed up the setlist. The performance was so bad that Poison had to fire him afterward. It was a public downfall that both shocked and amused fans. DeVille later made a comeback and remained a cult figure in the glam metal scene. But this legendary misstep is unforgettable. To this day, it's considered one of the worst live performances in rock circles. Number 3. Johnette Napolitano, Concrete Blonde. The distinctive voice of Concrete Blonde's Johnette Napolitano experienced one of her worst onstage moments during a solo concert. After just 10 minutes, she abruptly ended her performance after collapsing on stage. Both fans and concert organizers were shocked and disappointed by the circumstances surrounding this disastrous performance, which made headlines for months. Later, Napolitano apologized to her fans and openly discussed her personal challenges. Despite this incident, she kept her cult status in the alternative rock scene. However, it remains a cautionary tale of the risks of an excessive lifestyle in the music industry. Number 4. Carl Wilson, The Beach Boys. Carl Wilson, usually the disciplined and professional member of the Beach Boys, had a rare meltdown during a live performance. His guitar was out of tune, his voice was slurring, and the harmonies of the band sounded nothing like the good vibrations the fans were expecting. The performance descended into musical chaos, and the fans were horrified. Wilson, the voice of reason in the band, visibly struggled with the reality of the situation. This incident became an embarrassing footnote in the history of the legendary band. Wilson eventually recovered and went on to give brilliant performances again. But this moment remains unforgettable in the long history of the Beach Boys. Number 5. Grace Slick, Jefferson Starship. A memorable moment in the career of Grace Slick occurred during a concert in Germany. The lead singer of Jefferson Starship appeared on stage in a highly inappropriate state and began insulting the audience with incomprehensible comments. Her performance was chaotic, and the concert ended in total disaster. The incident shocked everyone and led to her temporary dismissal from the band. Slick later explained that she was deeply ashamed of that performance, but the scandal became one of the legendary stories in rock history. Despite it all, Slick remained one of the defining voices of her time. Number 6. Ron Wood, The Rolling Stones. When even Keith Richards looks like the sober one, something has gone seriously wrong. Ron Wood, guitarist of the Rolling Stones, caused confusion and unrestrained solos during a legendary performance. His performance was so chaotic that the band struggled to salvage the evening. Even die-hard fans didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Wood himself later took the incident with humor, calling it a life lesson. Today, that memorable performance is part of the Stones' anecdotal collection. But it shows how even rock icons can occasionally lose control. Number 7. Amy Winehouse. Amy Winehouse's last performance in Belgrade became a tragic memory. Completely overwhelmed and barely able to sing her songs, she stumbled around the stage as her band desperately tried to salvage the show. The audience watched in shock. It was the sad climax of a career defined by extraordinary talent and deep personal struggles. Just weeks later, Winehouse passed away at the age of 27. Her final performance remains a heartbreaking moment that reflects the tragedy of her life. Despite this sad ending, her music remains immortal. and fans around the world still remember her unparalleled voice and presence with longing. Number 8. Liam Gallagher, Oasis. Hardly any musician embodies the typical British rock and roll excess like Liam Gallagher. During a memorable Oasis concert, he gave a performance that was more about slurring than singing. Between songs, he taunted the audience and threw microphones around the stage. His bandmates had to improvise several times to save the show. The chaotic performance went down as one of the worst in Oasis history. Gallagher later took the scandal in stride, and for many fans, this behavior is part of the rebellious image of the band. However, that night also showed the darker side of the rock and roll lifestyle. Number 9. Billie Joe Armstrong, Green Day. A memorable moment in Billie Joe Armstrong's career occurred at the iHeartRadio Music Festival. Angered by Green Day being given only a few minutes for their performance, Armstrong completely lost his composure. In a fit of rage, he berated the management and destroyed his guitar on stage, as the audience watched in disbelief. The incident made worldwide headlines and led to an unexpected concert break for the band. Later, Armstrong admitted that he was going through a difficult time and deeply regretted his reaction. Despite the scandal, Green Day maintained their loyal fan base, and the moment is still regarded as one of the most explosive outbursts in rock history. Armstrong returned stronger and celebrated more success with the band. Number 10. Vince Neil, Mötley Crüe. Vince Neil, the frontman of hard rock band Mötley Crüe, delivered one of rock history's most chaotic performances during his solo career. At a concert, Neil appeared in such bad shape that he could barely sing his own songs. He left the stage several times, only to return stumbling, while his band tried to continue the show. Fans were disappointed and frustrated by the disastrous performance, and the incident made headlines in the music scene. Neil later apologized for the failed night and promised improvement. Despite many scandals in his career, he remained a permanent figure in the rock world. But this performance remains unforgettable and one of the low points of his career. Number 11. Eddie Van Halen. Van Halen. One of the most tragic performances in rock history was Eddie Van Halen's during a concert in the late 90s. Known for his groundbreaking guitar playing, he was emotionally and physically exhausted during the performance. He broke down in tears and, in frustration, destroyed his guitar before leaving the stage. Fans were shocked to see one of the world's greatest rock stars in such a vulnerable state. The moment revealed the immense pressure Van Halen was under from constant touring. Despite this setback, he recovered and continued making successful music. However, that night remains one of the darkest hours of his career and serves as a reminder of how demanding the life of a musician can be. Number 12. Wes Scantlin, Puddle of Mudd. Wes Scantlin, the frontman of Puddle of Mudd, provided one of the strangest stage shows ever. During a concert, his bandmates simply left him in the middle of the set because they could no longer tolerate his chaotic performance. Scantlin remained alone on stage and performed a one-man show that quickly spiraled out of control. Fans were appalled and left the venue in droves. The incident made headlines and was widely discussed by music fans worldwide. Later, Scantlin explained that he was dealing with personal issues. Despite numerous missteps, he managed to stay in the music scene. But this performance remains one of the most embarrassing moments of his career. Number 13. Keith Moon, The Who. Keith Moon, the eccentric drummer of The Who, delivered one of the most memorable concert moments in rock history during a show in the 70s. After excessive partying before the performance, he completely lost control and collapsed from his drum stool in a dramatic fashion. In a rare move, the band asked a fan from the audience to take over the drums, and the concert continued. Moon's escapades became legendary and helped define The Who's wild image. Despite his chaotic lifestyle, he is still revered as one of the greatest drummers of all time. This iconic incident demonstrates the unpredictable side of rock and roll life. Keith Moon's name remains firmly tied to the history of rock music. Number 14. David Lee Roth, Van Halen. David Lee Roth, known for his extravagant and energetic performances, had a particularly memorable moment during a concert when he repeatedly forgot the lyrics to his own songs. He slurred into the microphone while the band desperately tried to salvage the show. Roth, famous for his charismatic stage presence, seemed completely out of control. The night ended in chaotic confusion, which amused and bewildered fans alike. Roth later downplayed the incident explaining it as part of the typical rock and roll lifestyle. Despite the fiasco, he remained one of the most iconic figures in rock history. His eccentricity ultimately became his trademark, securing him a loyal fan base. Number 15. Jim Morrison, The Doors. Jim Morrison, the charismatic frontman of The Doors, delivered one of the most legendary breakdowns in rock history during a concert in Miami in 1968. Morrison appeared in a completely uninhibited state and gave a performance that descended into utter chaos. He interrupted songs, gave wild monologues, and brought the entire show to a halt. The audience was equally fascinated and shocked. The performance led to a scandal that marked the end of the band's live performances. Morrison was later charged for his behavior, which only solidified his reputation as the Lizard King. His excessive lifestyle and rebellious nature made him a cult figure for an entire generation. But this performance remains one of the most dramatic episodes in rock history.